A solar is godlike in its glory and power. On the battlefield, the solar sword flies into the fray on its own. A single arrow from a solar's bow can strike a target dead on contact. So great is the solar's celestial might that even demon princes shrink at its resonant commands. They are portrayed as large humanoids of peerless beauty with powerful wings of radiant white feathers, with eyes filled with pure blinding light. Now that we know what a solar is, let's talk about some features. The solar seems to be resistant to radiant, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical weapons, and they're also immune to necrotic and poison. They are immune to charmed, exhaustion, frightened, and poisoned as well. They have a true sight of 120 feet and a passive perception of 24 to better aid them find their quarry. Now in combat, the solar uses the angelical weapons. The solar weapon attacks are magical. When the solar hits with any weapon, the weapon deals an extra 68 radiant damage. This is included in the attack already. A nice boost of damage and one additional d8 when comparing it to a planetar. Now like the planetar, the solar knows when it hears a lie.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
So, like the planetar, lying would be a big no-no, or you might just learn what the afterlife looks like a little earlier than you anticipated. The solar also has innate spellcasting. The solar spellcasting ability is Charisma. The spell save DC is 25, which is insanely high. The solar can innately cast the following spells requiring no material components. At will, it can cast Detect Evil and Good, Invisibility, on itself only. Casting invisibility on itself, the solar can place himself in any environment and situation unbeknownst to anyone. The solar can also cast the following spells 3 times a day each: Blade Barrier, Dispel Evil and Good, and Resurrection. It can also cast the following spells once a day each: Commune and Control Weather. Following the same logic as before, based on the deity the solar is serving, you can always modify the spell list that fits the nature of the deity or the nature of your game. Remember that's a key component. Now the solar also has magical resistance. The solar has advantage on all saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Kind of a staple, again, for these creatures of higher category. The solar also has multi-attack. It can attack twice with its greatsword, dealing 4d6 plus 8 and the additional 68 for angelical weapons. And then we have his signature bread and butter move, the Slaying Longbow. The Slaying Longbow has 2d8 plus 6 piercing damage plus 68 radiant damage. If the target is a creature that has 100 hit points or fewer, it must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or die. An attack like this will place your party in a tough situation. Most casting classes will fall prey to this bow within the second attack. Preparing some protection spells is a must to prepare for a battle of such a caliber. The solar also has its Flying Sword ability. The solar releases its greatsword to hover magically in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of it. If the solar can see the sword, the solar can mentally command it as a bonus action to fly up to 50 feet and either make one attack against a target or return to the solar's hand. If the hovering sword is targeted by an effect, any effect, the solar is considered to be holding it. The hovering sword falls if the solar dies. Now the kicker here is the fact that the function of the sword lasts until the solar can see it. Therefore, he can communicate with the sword and command it from extreme long distances as long as he has vision on it. That is insane because it can move far away from him. As long as he can see it, it all functions normally. Combine this attack with the Slaying Bow, and you will find out that most casting classes will not survive an onslaught with this creature. Maybe 1 or 2 rounds will be more than enough. We then have Healing Touch 4 times a day. The solar touches another creature. The creature magically regains 40 hit points or 8d8 plus 4 hit points and is freed from any curse, disease, poison, blindness, or deafness. As we've spoken before, this mechanic can always change the flow of combat. You can take any disease, poison, blindness, deafness of any single one of your creatures, also curse, such spells like bestow curse or things of that nature. The healing is just a powerful bonus to it all at the end of the day. Let's now move to the creature's juicy legendary actions. First on the list, we have Teleport. This Solar magically teleports along with any equipment it is wearing or carrying up to 120 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. Now, 120 feet of free movement combined with its 150 feet of flying speed will destroy any party that lacks decent range capabilities. Second, we have Searing Burst. The Solar emits magical, divine energy. Each creature of its choice in a 10-foot radius must make a DC 23 dexterity saving throw, taking 14 or 4d6 fire damage plus 14 or 4d6 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. This feature is very nice when you're trying to dish out AoE damage and punishing your party for stacking up. Lastly, we have Blinding Gaze. The Solar targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. If the target can see it, the target must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or be blinded until magic such as the Lesser Restoration spell removes the blindness. Now the DC here is fair. Once you fail this, you will need the appropriate spell or item to remove this effect. This is an absolute game changer. It forces the party to waste actions, spells, and items in order to stay active in combat. With its flying and blindness, this creature has a powerful field control. Now that we're talking about its features, let's talk about some settings. Here are 3 settings or scenarios that could work for your world. For a more traditional story, the Solar has been tasked with the destruction of a demon lord. The Lord has found a way to twist the abyss and merge it with the material plane, and could be the cause of many unnatural or cataclysmic phenomenon. If the Solar were to enter the abyss, it would be a beacon, inviting challenge for all demon lords after its divine might. Therefore, the Solar visits the material plane to find the party and recruit them for a mission to open a gate into the demon lord's lair. The party will descend into the abyss and make their way to the demon lord's realm and get as close as possible to the lair to then open the gate and join the Solar in one epic combat. For something a little more complex, a bustling city built on the ruins of an ancient elven civilization. The city is powered by a massive magical crystal known as the Solaris Crystal, which harnesses the power of the sun to provide energy and light for the city's magical needs. Upon the PCs entering the city, a Solar will ask for their aid. He has been trapped inside the giant Solaris Crystal, and the elders have been using his divine power to extend their own life source and empower their spells and arcane tools. The crystal can only be broken by a specific item inside the elders' court. How will the party acquire this item? That is in your hands. For something simpler, the party encounters a Solar in a hidden desert oasis, where it has been protecting a water source and a small community that has formed around it. The Solar fell from grace long ago and has found his place here, among those abandoned and left for dead in the desert sands. The Solar could be weakened or slowly fading to mortality, or remain strong and proud in his pursuit of justice. Whatever the case, he may challenge the party to prove their worthiness before allowing them access to the oasis, or may seek their aid in defending the oasis from raiders or monsters that threaten it. Now that we have a few scenarios, let's talk strategy. Okay, so in this one, there's 2 ways to use the Solar. You have the fun way, where you can align it with a few Deva or a Planetar to aid it in combat, using its blade in combat and fighting to where the party can actually participate, or the way it's designed, aka the douchebag way, using its absolutely busted 150 flying speed and its all-powerful bow attacks. This creature will destroy any party with ease. It will first nullify all melee characters unless they have an item or are a race that can fly. Even if the wizard can't fly on them, this big guy can just teleport behind the wizard and put him down or make him drop the spell. Even if you manage to catch it, it can just teleport away or just use its blinding gaze to take away your sight and eliminate you from the battle. In reality, the proper use for this kit is more of a cat and mouse scenario. which of course is not fun for players, and most DMs tend not to do so for the same reason. But this creature's design is geared towards having your sword fight while you blast with arrows and stay flying around the target. With that being said, Steering Breath should only be used when the Solar already has a huge advantage or needs to deal AoE damage to multiple targets. Preferably, you should use Blinding Gaze and start weeding out the numbers. If it can't see, it will barely be able to hit you, especially if you're flying far away. If you enjoyed this video, please like, follow, and subscribe, and tell me your favorite encounter with the Solar. I would love to know in the comment section below. Peace.